We've got all the latest injury information for week 2. Let's start with Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler did not practice on Friday. He is unlikely to play. So what does this mean? It means that, number one, Austin Eckler managers are in big pain right now. But number two, I think Josh Kelly is startable now. I think he's legitimately startable in fantasy leagues. Talk about what he did last week and then how that might translate to a bigger workload this week.
Yeah, I mean, even last week, he had 16 carries in that shootout, really, against the Dolphins. 16 carries for 91 yards. That was 5.7 yards per carry. He also had a touchdown on the ground. But last year, when you saw he got like decent workloads a couple times, I mean, he was able to put up 10 carries for 49 yards and a touchdown, 10 carries for 24 yards and a touchdown. So, like, he does all right when he gets a bigger workload. So, you're really looking at him taking over in a high-powered offense. And he's not going to replace the production Austin Eckler is going to be able to give to.
They're going to run the ball so much. It's volume.
Yeah, he's going to get all the volume. I mean, between the two of them, they had almost 40 carries last week. So,
yes. He's going to be the
Joshua
guy.
Kelly's an easy start if you're able to pick him up.
The other guy, Aaron Jones, did not practice on Friday as well. Unlikely to play. Same situation. Talk about A.J. Dillon and what we're expecting from him this week.
I think you can make the argument that A.J. Dillon is flexible if you have to put him in, but this is honestly going to be for deeper formats, and I'm not super comfortable with him.
I agree with you.
Going into this week. I mean, he had 13 carries last week for 19 yards. That's 1.5 yards per carry.
And
that is pathetic.
That was against the Bears.
And I think we've seen historically that even when Aaron Jones is out for a game or two, A.J. Dillon doesn't just come in and take all of that receiving upside that Aaron Jones had because, shocker, they're not the same players. So I think, honestly, it just is straight up going to suck for you if you have Aaron Jones this week and he's going to be injured. And if you have A.J. Dillon and have to flex him, go for it. I think it'll be a slower game, but I think Love and the Packers are probably going to just be forced to pass it more if Aaron Jones isn't playing and less checkdowns. They're not going to be checking it down to A.J. Dillon.
Yeah, absolutely. James Conner, he should play Sunday. I think I'm comfortable starting him against the Giants defense, even though he didn't practice all week this week in full practice. I'm fine playing him.
I mean, you do have to worry about the other running backs in that offense getting carries.
All of them, yes. That's a heavy committee. Raheem Mostert should play Sunday. I'm fine starting him as well. He's been pretty good when he's the starting back for the Dolphins. Tyjae Spears should play Sunday, but we're only starting him probably in deep leagues. Kendrick Miller is a game time decision.
It doesn't really matter.
Doesn't really matter because we're not going to be comfortable starting him. Anyway,
I mean, Derek Carr had 300 yards passing in week 1, and 3 receivers were able to produce.
They may pass it a lot the whole year.
I think it's going to be a passing offense.
If Michael Thomas, Rashid Shaheed, and Olave all stay healthy,
what's Alvin Kamara's best role when he's in an offense?
Pass catcher.
I think they're going to pass the ball a lot.
That'd be interesting. Alvin Kamara comes back in 2 weeks, boys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Zach Moss, this is probably the last biggest running back here.
Yep.
He was a full participant in practice this week. We expect him to come back, and I do expect him to be the lead back for the Colts.
Absolutely.
I do not want to start him in fantasy or any other Colts back the whole season, unless it's Jonathan Taylor. I'm serious. I do think Zach Moss will have a better week than Deion Jackson did, though. So
yeah, I mean, when you look at what he did last season,
he was pretty decent.
He was really good at the end of the year. Now, the Colts were playing for nothing, and they just ran the ball because they didn't have a capable passer at the quarterback position. But, I mean, when you're looking at him in 2022, the last game of the season, he had 21 points, 18 carries, 114 yards, and a touchdown.
He averaged like 5 yards a carry over his last 80
not bad.
carries.
And that was against, guess who? Houston. So they are playing Houston this week. Now, this is a completely different coaching staff, completely different coaching and everything. Not to mention D'Amico Ryans is a way better coach on the other side than what they had last season as well. So I still would agree with you. Hold off on Zach Moss. If someone's willing to pay up for Zach Moss even, or is, sell him, please.
That's what I was actually going to say. You want a pro tip since you're watching this video? You get the Fantasy Domain pro tip of the day. Pick up Zach Moss before the games on Sunday because come Monday morning, he's going to be one of the top suggested waiver pickups by pretty much every fantasy channel out there.
Yeah.
If you pick him up now, you'll already have him and you'll have people wanting to trade for him.
Yeah, because he may have a good game. So.
That's thinking in 4D right there. All right, you want to do receivers?
Yeah, Devontae Adams is going to be first on this list. He's not on the injury report Friday, though, so that's a good sign. We're obviously expecting him to be full swing going into this week's matchup, which I believe they are playing. Remind me who they're playing.
Joe.
Oh, shoot.
I forget who they're playing.
Crap. I think I like the matchup. Oh, they're playing the Bills. I actually like that matchup.
Yeah.
I think he'll be fine this week. He'll have a bounce back week, and especially if Jacoby Myers doesn't play, who we will talk about later. but he is going to be out. So DeAndre Hopkins, a DMP on Friday because of his ankle. DMP, did not practice.
Yeah, did not participate.
People know that.
I don't know if they do.
He is likely going to be out. And that's unfortunate because it was a promising start to the season in a game where Tannehill was miserable, and he still had 13 points so in PPR league. So
And it would have been against the Chargers, and their secondary got blown up last week.
And they have the worst graded PFF defense through week 1.
I will say what this is a good sign for is going to be Treylon Burks. This is going to be an opportunity for him to flash again, where D-Hop will not be playing. Treylon will be the only guy there. Really, it'll be Derrick Henry running the ball and then passing to Treylon Burks. So
I'll be real excited when Treylon Burks gets 5 points this week.
Yeah, it'll be crazy.
He's got that big playability, though. We have seen it in the past. We're really hopeful for it this week. Christian Watson up next. He was limited and questionable for Sunday, and recent word suggests that Christian Watson may not play. Like he legitimately may not play this week. And that, I mean, for Christian Watson owners in fantasy, that's super concerning for you guys that heavily invested him in the 3rd, 4th rounds of your drafts. Like, you're starting to question his durability this season because hamstrings are never fun for anyone to deal with for an entire season. Like, the fact that he's dealing with this now is not promising for the rest of the season. Yep. Romeo Doubs is looking like a real nice pick for you guys in fantasy if you took a shot on him later in rounds. Jacoby Myers, like I already said, is going to be out. Sucks for him because he had a great start to the season, looking like he's taking Hunter Renfro's role because he's just better. So Jerry Jeudy is expected to play, and we will say sit him. I mean, there's no guarantee that he even makes it through the entire game. So let's see what he does. We do like him as a player, as a talent, but I like he cannot stay healthy. So we need to wait and see there. Brandon Cooks did not practice, unlikely to play as well, I believe. What is this? This is a knee, isn't it?
MCL sprain.
MCL sprain, yeah. So it is a knee in general. He's got talks. He's got a knee. Shane Steichen. That is going to do nothing but help and boost the upside of CeeDee Lamb. But I would say still be careful there because he will be matched up against Sauce, and they're just going to be focused on CD like all day. Look for it to be a ground and pound game on both sides of the ball there. That's going to be 2 really good defenses going against each other this weekend. Deontay Johnson says he's day to day, but he's probably not playing because they were even talking about putting him on IR, and they declared him to be out. And then he said he's day-to-day. Conflicting reports here. Don't start him. He didn't look good last week anyways. The Pittsburgh offense didn't look good, period. Everyone that anyone was hyped about just didn't play well.
So if you're missing Deontay Johnson, honestly, the pickup for you might be Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson seemingly returned from the dead last week and led the Steelers. You know, who expected it, but he led the Steelers in production, had 8 targets, 5 receptions, 64 yards, and 11.4 fantasy points.
I'm going to go out
90% snap share, so it's not like he just...
Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb and predict that was a sham of a performance week 1, that we probably won't see that again.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing there. I could be super wrong, but A-Rob hasn't been good in years, and from a fantasy perspective, I don't think you're missing out on anything. He still only scored 11 points. Puka Nacua was limited in practice, but he is expected to play, so I wouldn't be concerned or worried about that at all. And this week, he's a must start. I mean, there are some fringe guys, even I've debated between him and Christian Kirk in fantasy, and I'm starting Puka Nacua over Christian
People are
Kirk.
saying, it's the 49ers defense. Guys, the dude got 15 targets last week.
If he gets half of that,
he's good.
He'll be fine.
It'll probably still be more than Christian Kirk.
Yeah,
exactly.
Potentially.
All right, let's round it out here with the tight ends and quarterbacks.
No, you skipped DJ
DJ
Chark. DJ Chark is limited and questionable again going into this week. And honestly, regardless of whether he's playing or not, I'm never starting him until he shows that he can show consistency. The only time I'm ever thinking about even taking him is in best ball, where he's just stashed until he puts up a big play or two. That offense looks horrible. Adam Thielen truly looks like he's running with a pitchfork in his back, like Avery said a couple weeks ago. Yep. And DJ Chark, I don't think is going to change that at all. So I think it's going to be rough going for the Panthers offensively for quite a bit.
Let's finish this out with quarterbacks and tight ends.
There you go.
All right.
Got it.
Brilliantly. Travis Kelce is returning this week. He's expected to play on Sunday, so you can pencil him in for 8 targets, 6 receptions, 73 yards. touched. He's
Kadarius Toney is going to get every single target. In
Travis
the
Kelce,
offense.
he's a French guy. Like, you know.
pencil him as your tight end 1. Mark
He's
Andrews.
dating Taylor Swift. I'm not starting him.
Mark Andrews participated in practice on Friday, but he is still questionable for Sunday's game. It is really worrisome how many of these,
Yeah.
like all the good tight ends in the league, are hurt at once. Really.
Except for Hawkinson.
So honestly, you kind of feel bad about having any of these tight ends on your team. Right behind him, we have another guy who's drafted really highly this year. We have Darren Waller dealing with hamstring, and that genuinely is worrisome. He's expected to play, but at 31, who's already dealt with injuries over the last 2 seasons. This is the only one here that we're really. What?
Did you see what they said about the hamstring too?
No.
What he said about it? It's the same hamstring, shocker,
Oh,
that he's been
no.
dealing with for the
But it's
last
a
2 years.
different, like-
But it's literally a nerve issue, like something that is not
Like
going to
Cooper
go
Kupp.
away the entire season.
He was like, well, last year was muscular, but this year it's
This
like
year,
nerve.
this year it's nerve.
I'm like-
that makes me more
doesn't-
nervy about your longevity for this
Gosh.
season. I'm just saying.
That was horrible.
Did you like that
Great.
fun? Give
Yeah,
me
it's
some.
fun.
Dalton Schultz was also a full participant in practice on Friday. He didn't have a great week 1, 4 targets, 2 receptions, and only 4 yards. So do the math there. He wasn't great, but CJ Stroud likely having a slow start to his career. Dalton Schultz, if you drafted him, you should be starting him really. Because a lot of these guys at the top, like we just mentioned, might not be playing. Pat Freiermuth had a decent week last week, really, even against the 49ers defense. He is also limited
Very
on
limited
Thursday.
in practice.
So
I would avoid starting
What
him.
would you hear about him today? He was full participant on Friday,
Oh, I
and it was
wasn't
a
out when I
chest
made this.
injury. Yeah, that came out an hour ago. So,
All right, so I'd probably still play him then.
yeah. You're playing Freiermuth again. If you drafted, these are like all the big name guys. If you drafted them, you're kind of stuck playing them because who else
Hey,
do you
tight
have?
end, baby.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Yep.
make t-shirts.
Yep.
Honestly, it might be worth it. And then here we have Greg Dulcich finally, kind of towards the end. He was ruled out just 24 minutes ago. So talk about injury report. We're catching that just in time. And it's not like you felt great about starting him anyways. The Broncos had a rough start last week, only 16 points, and they were supposed to be a resurrected offense.
Yep.
At the end here, we have Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is good to go. So honestly, they're playing against the Buffalo Bills. I wouldn't be starting him anyways, but it is nice that he's healthy. That looks good for Devontae Adams and maybe Hunter Renfrow even this week.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. All right, to the best of our knowledge, there's the full injury report. If you have any updates or you want to add anybody, drop them in the comments. We're helping each other out, trying to get our fantasy lineup set for this week. Best of luck to everybody in week 2. Make sure you head over to Flock of Fantasy. Cream of chicken. Flock of Fantasy. It's actually flockfantasy.com/domain. Use code domain. You get 30% off the entire site. You get all of our exclusives. You get to hang out with us. We'd love to see you over there. Like I said, football, week 2. Good luck.